driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Hey, everybody. What a beautiful and glorious Wednesday it is in Chicago. I hope that you're happy and healthy wherever you are right now, and hopefully you got to enjoy some of that sunshine that we had in Chicago. 773-763-9278 is the number to join our conversation. Let us know what's on your mind. Again, that number is 773-763-WCPT. And don't forget, we are streaming live on our WCPT Facebook page, and you can subscribe to our YouTube page where we also stream our videos live. And there you'll be able to see our in-studio guest, Todd Belcour, who is the co-founder and executive director of Social Change. And he's giving me that because there have been many times over the years where I've tried to give these laborious intros. And he's adjunct professor and legal degrees and really a champion for people in our communities. All the things that we talk about here at WGN, which is getting involved, helping our neighbors, doing everything that we can to make sure that people have what they need. Todd Belcour and Social Change really are out there doing a lot of the groundwork all over the country, if not all over the world. And I just want to say, Todd, do you can you take a nap? Do you ever get a chance to just?
That's the downside of it. Now being televised while on radio, you can see how tired I actually am.
You look great.
Versus kind of hearing my voice, but it's such an honor to be here and really grateful to be part of the Neighbor Patti movement and being here at WCPT Live with you. Thank you.
Well, you inspire me so much over the years, the tireless work that I saw you first do in Springfield. And then, I mean, to grow into, I know that your organization has always been so activated and involved in neighborhoods in Chicago. And I know through your film festival, you've been able to reach people all over the world. In the last election, you guys had a lot to do with getting folks out in Georgia, too. And we're seeing the results of that while we still struggle with the filibuster and run into walls when it comes to making sure that these packages, these, whether it's infrastructure or, helping people who need to be safe where they are, whether it's healthcare or in their homes or having food. Yeah. You guys really had a lot to do with that. What are you guys up to today, this Wednesday, October 20th?
Well, I've had the privilege of talking with a lot of states' attorneys' offices and prosecutors' offices about the possibility of having expungement clinics and reinstate your license clinics, warrant forgiveness, fines forgiveness, to provide additional inducements to help people who may be vaccine hesitant to take that next step and get the vaccines that we know is life-saving as it relates to COVID, but also to get fresh food. Some of the other things we know are really part and parcel to keep people not just healthy, but also make sure that our families have just the basics they need during this really difficult time.
And you guys have, obviously, the website is where folks can find out more information. It's socialchange.site, correct? And all the different platforms that they can find Social Change, find Todd Belcour. What are some of the ways that people can get involved to support the work you do?
Yeah, that's right. Whether you're comfortable being out and about in public, or you're more, like to be behind the scenes and do things virtually, we've got opportunities for you for sure. Whether you're listening to us in Illinois, Indiana, or Wisconsin, we've got opportunities for you there. Whether you want to, be out in the front lines, giving food to people in need, or helping make sure we're managing crowds, or following up with people who need, additional paperwork for sealing expungement, there's definitely a place for you. But, as it relates to the upcoming election cycle, we certainly could use more people who are willing to knock on doors, make calls, text people to make sure that our community members know the importance of voting, but also have a plan to vote. And to the extent there's a gap in the resources necessary for them to execute the vote, that we provide that as quickly and efficiently as possible.
Where are you targeting some of those get out the vote plans? Was it Wisconsin? You mentioned Wisconsin, Indiana. We are obviously in Illinois surrounded by red states, and we are vulnerable with the makeup of our legislature in D.C.
Yeah, we generally focus our efforts in places where, the elections are the most intense and the most contested. So places like Georgia, of course, places like Wisconsin and Indiana, at one point less so now. But currently, certainly in Georgia, there's an election coming up in a couple weeks and for local elections, but then, of course, getting ready for the midterms coming up in a year from now. We want to make sure the infrastructure is in place to help people understand the ways in which these new laws drastically change the way they can interact with the Secretary of State and engage in voting, and then how people who may have been voting in one place their whole lives may no longer be able to do so. People who've been voted by mail their whole life may no longer be able to do so. People who have just used to having their registration unquestioned need to check on those statuses to make sure that things haven't changed drastically because the rug's been pulled out from under them by the legislature. So certainly these are really trying times, not just in terms of the crisis brought on by COVID, but based on the fact that our democracy is in peril.
It is, and it's hard, I think, in Illinois for people to wrap their minds around how voting has been restricted in so many of these communities while we are expanding. That's the true of women's reproductive health. We are expanding those rights, and everywhere else it's contracting. And as you mentioned, people who perhaps aren't as locked into what's going on politically and how their rights are being really clawed back. It's hard to imagine. And how do we reach out and help aside from financial assistance? Obviously that's direct. That goes to supporting all the work that you do. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, we had the benefit of having a true kind of multi-generational, multinational coalition of folks to come down to Georgia for the special election to be there on hand and kind of really activate what was the equivalent of instead of freedom summer, freedom winter, as relates to making sure that people weren't being unjustly denied the opportunity to vote in Georgia. And that work hasn't stopped. In fact, it's even more necessary than ever because as a result of that work, that served as impetus for just this new wave of Jim Crow 2.0 of voting restrictive laws that aren't just taking place in Georgia, but in 16 other states across the nation. So we're also doing work in North Carolina, certainly not North Korea. So if people do want to do things, you can do things from your couch. You can text people. You can call people. Certainly donations at socialchange.site is great, but at the same time, we need the sweat equity, and we need people to put, use their voice and their time to really have a real warm voice on the other end. Because I think at the end of the day, people get a lot of text messages, they get a lot of emails, but when they hear someone's voice, they care enough to leave a voicemail. That matters. So if people are up for it, we need you, and now's the time. It is. It really is. I know we have a listener. I mean, the phones are already lighting up. Brian wants to join the conversation. What's on your mind, Brian?
Oh, hi, Patty. Hope you're doing well. I just wanted to briefly talk a little bit about unionism, and I saw this movie. I haven't seen it for a while. It's a great film, 4 stars. It's called Matewan. Did you ever see it? I've never seen Matewan. I thought you were going to say Norma Ray, but I've never seen. That's the union movie I always think of. But Matewan, I'll have to look that one up. Tell us a little bit about it. I should know, I'm sure. Well, I think it was a 1986 film. I saw it a couple times. It's about. It's a true story. It was about 100 years ago. It's about coal miners trying to start a union, and how the coal miner owners, the industrialists who owned the coal mines, they bring in not regular police, I'll just say they bring in the heat to try to break up the union. And one of the stars of the film is the great actor James Earl Jones. Oh, sure. And some of it's tragic, but at the end, in this particular battle, the good guys win, the unionizers. And then I want to mention a song by Pete Seeger. It's called "Which Side Are You On?" Have you ever heard that one? I don't know if you've listened. Todd's laughing because I have an appalling lack of musical knowledge, and that would go into that list. But Pete Seeger, I'll have to look it up. I think you've heard it, Patty, but may not associate it with the artist. But just even in terms of protest culture and things like that, it's certainly a song that's a rallying cry for many. Pardon? He said it's a rallying cry for many. Yeah, well, it's basically a union song. It probably came out in the late 50s, and he has a line in there, "Are you with the union or are you a lousy scab?" And that's direct. And And actually, you might want to. I know Joan Esposito is a real strong union person, and you might want to pass it on to her about the film Mate One. She might want to check it out too.
Well, have you seen Norma Ray?
No, I've never seen Norma Ray.
It's also a very good union movie. It's about some of the textile plants down in the South, and it stars Sally Field, as a matter of fact, and Beau Bridges and Sally Field. It's also an Academy Award-winning movie, I believe. I don't know if she won for that one. She was nominated like a bunch of years in a row, but another great movie. But I'll watch yours if you watch mine.
Oh, I'll certainly look forward to watching that. Norma Ray, is it called?
Norma Ray, yes. Mm-hmm. I am also. I've been in the union. I've been in the SAG-AFTRA union since 1999, and many of my friends and family are union members. Union strong, my friend.
Well, I heard it wasn't too long ago that they were trying to start a union, or Bernie Sanders was active in Alabama trying to get a union started, with Amazon, and for some reason they voted it down, to have a union, and I kind of thought, why they pick Alabama? Wouldn't it have been better to try like Illinois, New York, Michigan, or California to have a better chance?
I guess the thought is if you can get something done in Alabama, you can get it done anywhere.
That's true. Yeah, but I also see your point of get it done somewhere so you can get it done somewhere else, and lead by example in a place that's union strong.
Well, thank you very much for taking my call,
always.
Patty, and you have a wonderful day.
You as well. You know what, Brian, you know what the difference is? You always call right out of the gate. This is where I know Dave and Roosevelt and Steve from the Gold Coast, like they get something on their minds. And the earlier you call, the better chance you have of getting on the air, because once we start getting into a conversation or things get away from us. Yeah. So I just want to let our friends know if they're, and here's the thing, everybody, if there's something on your mind, just like Brian just called to talk about unions, tell me what's on your mind. That's the point of this show too. Yeah. Conversations that you want to have. Thank you so much, Brian, for being a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye. And we will get to Jim's call right after this. See, Jim's not going to wait too long, just during the break. We are live in studio in the WCPT 820 studios with Todd Belcourt, the co-founder and executive director of Social Change. Give us a call at 773-763-WCPT. That's 773-763-9278. And join us live on Facebook as well. I keep forgetting to say hi to everybody there. Sorry, there's so many things going on. A lot of buttons. More after this. Huh? Mate one, yep.
Amy Goodman reports on the news stories rarely covered by the corporate media. Democracy Now!
A Food and Drug Administration advisory panel unanimously approved booster shots for the one-shot Johnson & Johnson vaccine. The second shot can be given as early as 2 months after the first dose. Federal regulators will now meet to decide whether to greenlight J&J and Moderna boosters.
Democracy Now! Weekday evenings at 11 on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Finding the right Medicare plan may feel impossible, but now it's anything but. With Walgreens Find RX coverage tool, you can compare plans online, over the phone, or in person, making Medicare easier than ever. Easier than picking which true crime doc to watch, figuring out that Wi-Fi password, or putting the duvet cover back on. So if you can do those things, with Find RX coverage, you can definitely Medicare. Find the plan that's right for you by visiting walgreens.com/Medicare.
If you're looking to purchase a new home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Dahlia, 27, nurse, wanted to purchase a home. Dahlia talked with an online lender who did not answer her questions, so she called her mom for advice. Dahlia's mom recommended she contact the only lender she trusted to help her daughter finance her first home, Team Hochberg. We answered Dahlia's questions, held her hand throughout the process, and secured the mortgage on her first home. Let's review. Dahlia consulted with an online lender who didn't answer her questions. Then, based upon her mom's recommendation, called Team Hochberg, and we helped Dahlia secure the mortgage on her new home. Team Hochberg's helped thousands of radio listeners' kids secure mortgages on their new home purchases, like we helped Dahlia, but we can't help if you don't call 855-56-DAVID or visit 56david.com. That number again is 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Homeside Financial, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 1124061.
1, 2, 3, 4. Delta spawn. Damn, we thought this crap was gone. Could it be we're heading back to quarantine? Now the governors of red states have gone and outlawed mask mandates. Seems to me the GOP wants us to die, including kids. I'm sure glad I got my full vaccine. Get vaccinated, you dummies.
That is Steve Goody with Delta Spawn, and you can get all of Steve Goody's great music on his website, stevegoody.com. And thank you, by the way, one to Todd Belcour, who's in studio with us, the executive director and co-founder of Social Change. Thank you to our texters, including my husband, who messaged me about what station I am at. Thank you very much. I've had the other station on my mind because there's a lot going on, a lot of moving parts. As far as Todd and I met while I was in Springfield, covering Springfield for WGN Radio, and a lot transpired over those 6 years. I was very passionate about going to Springfield and making sure that people knew what was going on in our General Assembly, and I had to fight with that station in order to do that coverage. Yeah. Over 2.5 years, the only trips that they ever, really that they helped me cover were when I interviewed Speaker Madigan. I was the only broadcaster to interview Speaker Madigan I had a half-hour interview with him during the budget impasse, and one of Governor Rauner's budget addresses was the only time they covered that. The rest of it, they were like, that, that's your own little...
it's a hobby almost.
Yeah, that's exactly how they treated it, and I was very passionate about that. But it is where I had I learned so much about how our General Assembly works and how people like Todd Belcour have those conversations, how important it is to be there, how important it is to have coverage in Springfield. And there are some news outlets that are expanding that coverage, and that is important, as we are here at WCPT 820. So thank you to all of our texters. Someone said, I think you're nervous. And once in a while, it might slip. But I was telling you, Todd, actually, it's so comforting to be here. It's such an incredible place of the energy. People like Lady B, like Matt, like Mark, like George, who you met, and Antonio. I mean, everyone here is so kind, and I'm trying to get used to that. Yeah,
you can definitely feel the warmth and truly feeling like you're welcome, and it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah, Todd was with me on some really harrowing nights that we'll talk about some other time when those stories present themselves in other ways. Jim wants to join our conversation. Hey, Jim, what's on your... Hi.
Hello out there, Patty, and your guest. I just want to say I voted by mail for the first time this time, and it was very, very convenient and easy. I had a couple of friends in from California, and during that governor thing, they were sent the ballot, no muss, no fuss, no IDs. They sent them. I'm getting feedback. Anyway, they mailed in their ballot, and what's the status of our mail-in ballots? I know they're trying to stop it, but it's critical, I think, to get everybody a ballot so they can vote.
I agree.
Anyway, thanks, Patty.
All right,
so I just want to say it to your guest.
It's very important. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jim. I appreciate that. See, a lot of passion on the phones today.
Absolutely.
Let's see what we have. We have Jose in Riverside. Jose, what's on your mind, Jose? Hello, Jose? Nope, I missed the button. Hold on. There it is. Hi, Jose.
Yes, hi. Hello?
Hello. What's on your mind?
Hello, Jose.
Yes, I just want to bring up a big problem that we have in this country. We need to bring back our fellow citizens that are misinformed, like the people where they keep voting against their own interests.
Yes.
It hurts when I get into an argument with a guy. I'm a union guy, and like 2/3 of our coworkers vote Republican, and they hate the Democratic Party, but yet they enjoy the benefits of the union. Okay, they have a good life, good paying job, they have a pension waiting for them, and then lately they've been retiring because they just increased the pension, and they cannot wait to get into that socialist government-run health care, but yet they hated it their entire lives. And I confront them, and they just raise their shoulders and walk away.
I think you actually stated it in they're misinformed, misguided, and sometimes willfully ignorant because, for one, we just talked about how I was down in Springfield during Governor Rauner's tenure in our executive office, and his goal was to break the unions. That was almost entirely his turnaround agenda, which was to diminish bargaining rights, workman's comp. He wanted to make Illinois a right-to-work state. So I agree with you. I am often befuddled by union members who are very conservative, and not just when we think of first responders who tend to skew more conservative, the follow the rules, law and order sort of campaigning. But yes, I agree. There are a lot of union members, and I don't know. I get concerned about where that manipulation is coming from because I don't know if it's tradition in their families. Is there some bias racially? Is there what else is at work there? But they seem to trust conservatives much more than Democrats.
I have a clue. In my case, I drive a truck, so I get into a lot of different trucks because I'm trained on different jobs. And every time I get into one of these guys' trucks, the first thing I check the radio station, and all of them have 890. They're right wing, brainwashed radio station, conservative, and that's where they get all that stuff. And I confront them, and it's just so hard. Sometimes I feel like I got them, but then they slip right back. It's like, yeah, but what about this and what about that? And I want to tell you, in the elections of 2016, even our representative, I checked him on Facebook, and he was proudly member of the deplorable group, and he was a union guy who represents us, and he knew better.
Yeah,
he was voting for Trump instead of Hillary, and yet he enjoys a nice a nice pension waiting for him, a nice job on the union, and it's crazy that they hate the party that gave them this nice life. Nice benefits. And they go with a party that would love to get rid of unions. Now this guy that is coming, running for Senate, a right-wing Republican, he's against unions.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name. He is against unions. He's running. He's trying to take the seats of either Tommy Duckworth or Dick Durbin. I don't know which one of them is for election next year.
Yeah.
And there's a guy running against one of them. And he's an anti-union. And they are like, a few of them, they say, yeah, well, he's a Republican, I'll vote for him. Even they don't care if he's against unions. And they, like I say.
Well, Todd, what are your thoughts when you hear someone like Jose talk about folks who are union members voting against their own best interests?
I think Jose is rightly spotlighting an issue that's really commonplace throughout the nation. I mean, when we do work in Louisiana or Mississippi at one point and North Carolina, I think people have biases, and as a result of that, and the desire to seek out ways to affirm those biases, whether through who they associate with or what they seek out in the media, it just affirms a bias, but doesn't necessarily affirm fact. So I think the problem is, even when you present facts, and this is true for people of all kind of spectrums, people aren't prepared to really absorb it and take it as truth. So that's why it's really more important for people like you, Jose, but people who are also peers, to talk to their peers or family members and communicate with love versus just kind of like a lust for debate, and to try to really communicate what's really going on as clearly as you can to create understanding, not necessarily to convince or persuade or win an argument. So I think the spaces where that's allowable seem to be fewer and far between. That's even more important for us as social change to have something like our International Film Festival, where we create this space, this platform, for people to have discussions regardless of your beliefs, your class, your creed, your nationality, to hear about the truth of people's lived experience and see what we can do to come together to make everything better.
Yeah, Jose, tell them to watch some of the movies on Social Change's International Film Festival. What were you going to say, Jose?
Yeah, I think what happened is that they invested all these years, the last 30, 40 years, voting, and they just cannot understand that they've been fooled. It's hard for them to accept it, to admit it.
Yeah.
And
Spot on.
And another thing that really drives me crazy is when they've been put in their brain that you should not ask for anything for your government. Just keep paying taxes and don't ask for anything. You know, you just pull yourself out your bootstraps. Then why the heck am I paying taxes? I better get some programs from the government. Otherwise, why would I pay taxes?
Right.
Yeah.
For them, it's the
What are you
military.
investing in, right?
For them, it's the military. It's defense. It's they
It's
rather
part of people's identity.
Yeah.
For sure. And when you ask people to kind of change their identity, that's where you get the pushback that's like really innately personal.
I think you really hit on something, both of you, about the idea. It's hard to admit that you've been tricked. It's hard to admit. It's like being in an abusive relationship. There's shame in being wrong. And I would say having Donald Trump as our president was being in an abusive relationship. That was emotionally abusive to many of us. And some people respond to that positively, and other people, go, this isn't the way I want to live. And I know that's having been in an emotionally abusive relationship. I'm not throwing that out there. And I also want to say that, if there's anybody who hears that and goes, well, you're just belittling that or diminishing it, I am not. I'm saying that there was gaslighting. There was a personal attacks on people, on entire groups of people, talking about grabbing women by the hoo-ha, which is traumatizing for women like me. It was that night. I even wrote an essay about it. So it was very hard, and I think that some people react to that, authoritarian figures, as that they want that. They want someone to tell them what to do and to be harsh and severe. So that's my comparison from my own personal experience. Jose, I have to run to the break. I'm so grateful for this call, and I'm so sorry that it's frustrating for you, but you know that we're here, so we can have conversations. Vent to us anytime, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the fight, Jose. Thank you.
Yes, please keep up the fight. I'm going to take a break here for traffic and updates from the station. Dolores and Roosevelt are on hold. We'll get to those calls when we come back and find out more about Social Change's International Film Festival. You can find out more right now by going to socialchange.site, SITE, right here on WCPT 820 AM. More in a moment. Give us a call.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive on WCPT Willow Springs is powered by ComEd. Lower your energy bills and reduce your carbon footprint with the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program.
You're listening to WCPT 820. Here's the latest Chicago traffic update.
Inbound Eden's bumper-to-bumper tower down to the Kennedy merge. Lake Cook Road down to the junction 39 outbound is clear. Kennedy out to the split 3320 in the express, 59 to O'Hare. Inbound from the airport at 52, 23 of that on in from the junction. On the outbound Eisenhower, it's bumper-to-bumper Ashland to 25th Avenue. From the Circle out to 390 in 56 minutes, and the outbound side of the Stevenson now at 1st Avenue. Just getting word of a crash. From DeSable Lakeshore Drive on out to 355, that's over an hour. The outbound side of the Dan Ryan stop and go from Pershing all the way out to the split. From the Circle out to 95th in a half hour, inbound at 19. Jammed up there from the Chinatown feeder ramp back into the Circle. That's traffic. I'm Mary DeBadges.
Panera believes in saying yes to the good things. Yes to mac and cheese. Yes to topping it with cheesy Parmesan crisps. And yes to putting it all on a sandwich. The new grilled mac and cheese sandwich. Get $1 delivery when you order on the app. Panera. Live your yes. Restrictions apply.
The whole goal is to point people to something bigger.
What if the news was different and covered more than one side of the story? Not just the who or the what, but the why. What if it took you closer?
It's information and people want it.
So you can make up your own mind. What if the news lets you think for yourself? Introducing a new point of view. Yours. Newsy. Watch Newsy free on your TV. Learn more at newsy.com.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month. But you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio.
Sponsored by Age of Learning.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
Todd Belcourt joins me in studio, the executive director of Social Change, also the co-founder. And you know what? It's moments like that I realize there's another reason that I have flashbacks to. One, we were talking about my previous place of employment, but Dan Levy, who does so much great work here at WCPT. That's the amazing voice you hear on a lot of those drops. That re-intro that I just played, that is Dan Levy, and he's was also at other places I've worked. So
there you go.
Sometimes I get transplanted in time and spell. We're here and now is what I have to keep reminding myself. Do you find yourself?
Grateful for it.
Yes, exactly. Do you have to do that with all the work that you do, with all the time-consuming effort that is involved in your life? Are you able to take a moment? Like, do you have 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day where you meditate, pray, check in?
Self-care is something I've been taking as seriously as I can, especially with the advent of COVID and all that, and really prioritizing family and loved ones, little ones. So it's just, as I'm engaging in the work and across the nation and traveling, I try to make sure I set aside time to really check in with family, check in with myself, to see how I'm doing, what I need, what my family needs, and make sure I prioritize that and continue to put that first. Because at the end of the day, I mean, if anything you've learned from COVID, it's just a reminder of how fragile life is, and a reminder how our elders are something we just can't take for granted. So, even tomorrow I'll be spending the day with my dad, taking care of him and making sure he's got what he needs. But if I was just kind of head down and putting the axe to the grindstone, I probably wouldn't think about something like that to the holidays.
Right. Oh, yeah. I agree. You have to be present, and that helps you, I think, help more people as well. Cindy's been on hold. Oh, Dolores. Dolores has been on hold for quite a bit, and I'm grateful and apologetic. Hi, Dolores.
Hi, Dolores.
What was there on your mind?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hi.
Hi. How you guys doing? I love the subject.
Thank you.
I just want to make a couple of comments. My first union job was when I was in high school working for Dominic's, and back then I was making $7.50 an hour, and that was back in 1980.
Wow.
81.
Yeah.
And we're not that far. How much is hourly wage now? It's not that far up from 1980.
Well,
that was my first experience.
And the difference is, at that time, let's see, I know in 1986, the minimum wage was $3.35, because I had friends that were working at Dominic's, and they were making, at that point, almost $8 or $9, which was nearly triple what I was making. Yes.
Exactly, right. And I was in high school. I was a cashier and stuff like that. So you made more money, and everything. It was just wow. So that was my first experience. Plus, I had benefits, and I was only part-time at the time. I was in high school. All of our high school, I believe we worked part-time. We worked 30 hours a week. I don't know how we did it, but we did it. We had benefits. We had dental. We had eye. We had everything. I was wow. Yeah. Then my daughter, she became a lifeguard in the city of Chicago, and she was in the union. So she was making decent money. She was in high school as well. And so she got to see the experience. And when she went to college, she became a lifeguard in college over there, no union, and she made pennies. So she got to see the difference, what union does and non-union does.
Was your daughter, may I ask where your daughter was a lifeguard? I was a lifeguard at North Avenue Beach. I'm just curious.
Yes, she was a lifeguard at North Avenue Beach.
Was she really? What years? Well, because I was a guard at, go ahead.
Go ahead. What year were you a guard?
89 and 90, so a little bit after, probably a little bit before, long before her.
Yeah. She was after. She was around 2000. She graduated in 2009, so around 2007, 2008, 2006.
Well, it's a great job. It was one of the greatest jobs of my life, and I know that I'm sure she's proud of the work that she did there. I'm glad to know that she was in the union. I did not have that opportunity in 1989 and 90.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a union job, which I didn't know, and so she got to see the difference.
Where did she go? She's That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Where did she go to college?
She went to she was in Eastern Illinois.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I did the same thing. I lifeguarded down in Champaign, and it was I think I was making almost $9 at North, and maybe $5 something in Champaign at the time. I'm older.
Exactly, right? Yeah. And plus, I grew up on the South Side, and most of us worked. Most of our families were union members, and we didn't live high up dogs, but we were all, my parents and my friends' parents were all able to, afford a house and decent living. So they were all union members, whether they were working for the bus company or police officers, firemen. There was like a lot of other union jobs that's no longer here in Chicago. So that was just the comment I want to make. And also just piggyback off Brian's song from Pete Seeger. I love Pete Seeger. Which side are you on? That one. That was actually a cover song. The person who wrote that song was Florence Reese. She wrote the song. She was a union organizer for the coal miners in Kentucky, in Harlan County, Kentucky. And actually that Harlan County is in that song.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, wow.
Thank you for educating us on that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That's great.
And I'm a big fan of Natalie Merchant, and she covered that song. She does an awesome cover on that song, too. She covered that back in 2004 or something like that. So, yeah, she covered that song, too. So
outstanding.
And the movie.
Yes.
How Green Was My Valley. That was, to me, was kind of like a union movie with Maureen O'Hara. I don't know if you watch old movies. I love Maureen O'Hara. Yeah. So How Green Was My Valley. It was about a little boy just kind of talking about his big brothers, but they were trying to organize a union, too. They were coal miners and stuff. So.
And if you like movies that have a slice of, humanity and whether it's fictional or documentary style, I encourage you to go to socialchange.site. I'm actually going to be hosting a panel this Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. And I've seen and there are blocks of movies. So there are movies that might be about union issues. There might be movies that are about immigration,
climate change,
all of those things. And this panel I'm doing on Saturday has to do with abilities and disabilities, dis in parentheses, because it really shines a light on movies that talk about what is possible, what is happening. Not even what's possible, what is fundamentally happening in these beautiful stories. One follows a young woman whose dream is to be her dream is to really live in Hollywood and to be with Matthew McConaughey. And she has Down syndrome, and she writes these incredible plays, and her community comes together, and they put them on stage, and it's such a celebration of life and love and laughter. So I highly recommend that one, too.
Yeah,
Double Life. Yes.
Yeah, I need to check that out.
Excellent.
And also, I'm proud to be a part of the greatest union in Chicago, which is Chicago Teachers Union.
Hey!
I'm so proud when we're together and organizing.
There's one of our friends on Facebook. Her name's Bridget. She says the first time she moved to Florida was the first time as a teacher that she was not part of a union. Sad face. So.
Oh yeah, Well, I understand that. I would be sad too. Once you're part of one, you know possibilities.
Right.
And you're organizing it together and stuff like that, and and power to the Chicago police officers too. And just my ex-husband was a police officer, and I got a nice little soft spot for Chicago police officers or any union members, not just Chicago Teachers Union, anyone.
Yes, me too.
It's not easy.
Yep. Otherwise, there's no one fighting for our rights. Otherwise, without even these firewalls of protections, we are still they're always trying to take rights away from the workers. The amount of money that we've even seen during the pandemic that's made by billionaires and corporations, it shows you how much we are. The reason they call it human resources is because we are the capital.
Yeah.
And you're seeing people not want to return to jobs that are backbreaking, really.
That's right, and you can only truly negotiate when you're negotiating as equals, and the only way to equalize the playing field is to make sure you have the collective bargaining that comes with unions.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I think people who don't want to return to work, though, I think because hopefully time's up where they're slaving these people and giving them pennies on a dollar. And I'm thinking maybe time's up.
Exactly.
They weren't making a lot of money to begin with, and they're working 2 or 3 jobs just to put food on the table.
That's right. We're a long day from the 7:25 at Dominic's for sure.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. Thank you so much, Dolores.
Yes, thank you, Dolores, but also thank you, Brian, for these wonderful film recommendations. Socialchange.site. We've got all the films you can imagine. Hopefully you can join us this weekend to hear Patti and others, okay?
All right. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye now.
And Roosevelt has been on hold. See, I got to you, Roosevelt, because you called earlier. There just were a couple people in front of you. Hey, Roosevelt, what's on your mind?
Thank you, Patty. Thank you for taking my call. Here's the thing. Unfortunately, Jose is right. I agree with him 100%. Maybe I could add to what he said. Here's the thing that's happening specifically in the Hispanic, specifically my community, Mexican American community. A lot of people are guided by religion. And Tom Hartman mentions this quite a bit. There's quite a number of more Spanish-speaking stations that are evangelists. And unfortunately, politics has filtered their way into the church.
Yes.
These specific Spanish-speaking people. So, religion is playing a part on this as far as the Latin community voting Republican. One, because of the fact of abortion. And two, because unfortunately the guy that was the last president, as soon as he came in, he signed an executive order. I don't know if you guys remember that. So, and year after year he said, we're going to say Merry Christmas this year. Even he said it last year. So that's a part of it. Another part of it is the Republicans, the GOP, has made the word entitlement a dirty word. They always bring that up. But they don't, their goal is to cut those funds that we get, such as Social Security. Let's not forget that Bush, when he wrote his book, and one of the things he wrote was he wanted to reform Social Security. Now, that's the party that didn't have anything to do with Social Security, because FDR is the one that came up with Social Security.
Exactly.
So that's point number one. Point number two, they've been very effective of using the word entitlement, just like liberal. They made it look like a dirty word.
Yes.
And so that played a big role on this. And their idea is to convince the people that those things you shouldn't get them. So a lot of people. It's the same principle that they did with the Affordable Care Act. When you call it Obamacare, remember that test that they did when they called it Obamacare, nobody wanted it. When they explained to them there was the Affordable Care Act, the same thing. They're very effective, these Republicans, at using that. So a lot of the Mexican American community, they say, I've never taken a penny. I have it in my own family. There's people in my own family that turned evangelists. So I know firsthand. And I have it in my own family that they say, I've never taken a penny from the government.
Ugh.
So
Yep.
So it's like they convince people that you're lazy by taking certain safety net programs, and they convince them. So that's a part of it. And the thing, another dirty word that they use is socialism. And to Jose's point, and I'm jumping all over the place and I apologize, but to Jose's point, look at the Cuban community. You cannot even count them on one hand how many Cuban Democrats there are, but there's a lot of Republicans. But the president that's responsible for the Cuban Act was President Johnson, with an all-Democrat Congress in 1966. You don't see hardly any Cuban Americans Democrats, except Menendez. I believe Senator Menendez from New Jersey. I think he's from New Jersey. Mm-hmm. So that's my point. And I'm going to close it with this, and I always say that. God. Okay. So I'm going to close it with this.
You're good.
Just look at the example we have here in Chicago with El Milagro Tortilla. Look at those people, the conditions they've been working under for 71 years, because that tortilla factory was established in 1950. Mm-hmm. And it's a shame that they've done that to those people. There were 5 people that died. And look, they went on strike and everything, and I don't know what the...
And that was COVID. That was COVID related because they were unsafe working conditions. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But that's my point, Patty. And their wages, because they don't have, to Jose's point, because they don't have a union, they take advantage of them. And I feel ashamed that the ownership is also Mexican-American. And they've done this for 71 years, 1950 when it was established. And look, we're in 2021, and the conditions are still horrible, 95 degrees inside, no ventilation. The wages are low, no union. I believe in unions 100%, because that's what built this country, unions.
But just remember the example we had here in this country. Reagan, he was a Democrat. But he turned Republican.
I would say union since the beginning of the 1900s, maybe. Before that, I would say it was obviously slavery and a lot of immigrant work and a lot of labor that was underpaid for. I mean,
no, I agree.
Yeah.
What I'm saying, as far as a collective organized,
yes,
union, that's what I'm referring to.
Right.
But that's the example. I'm not going to take up any time.
I'm just jumping in before the texts come in.
Thank you, Roosevelt. I think you're right, though. At the
Roosevelt,
end of the day,
thank you very much.
Absolutely excellent.
The evolution of the exploitation of labor is certainly something that needs to be chronicled, and doing which evangelism and entitlement and labeling are all used as tools to help people do things that aren't really in their interest is really important to highlight. Thank you, Roosevelt.
Thank you. Have a great evening. Then we're going to take a break here, and in the last segment, I want to make sure we focus on the Social Change International Film Festival, because I know that there's so many movies, and I want to give folks an opportunity to learn more about that and why they should be involved.
Thank you.
Of course. We'll be right back on Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
Time flies when you're having fun.
I know, isn't this crazy? Plus, everyone's so great.
Yeah.
Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive.
If we don't get a significant part of the unvaccinated population of this world vaccinated, sooner or later, the virus is going to figure out how to defeat the vaccines we've gotten. So they're going to basically bring us down.
Joan Esposito, weekday afternoons 2 to 5 on WCPT 820.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-590-7516. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Providers help thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-590-7516. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-590-7516. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-590-7516. 800-590-7516.
I am Jonesy, host of the Glenn Jones Radio Experience. Saturdays, 5 p.m., WNDZ, 750 a.m. Freeform Music Radio, a thoughtful mix of music for radio lovers. Intimate conversation, a happening, an event. Experience it. Saturdays, 5 p.m. till sunset, 750 a.m. WNDZ.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez.
In your communities, in Chicago.
On WCPT 820.
We are heading into the home stretch with the co-founder and executive director of Social Change, Todd Belcourt. Want to make sure you know everything you need to know about their International Film Festival. First, I want to remind you, well, let's just go ahead and give away a pair of tickets. Stephanie Miller is going to be at the Barrymore Theater in Madison, Wisconsin with the Sexy Liberal Tour featuring John Fugelsang, Hal Sparks, and comedy duo Frangela. They've been a sold-out sensation for over a decade, and this will be the only live show in 2021. Again, in Madison, Wisconsin, at the historic Barrymore Theater. Tickets and information are available at sexyliberal.com. But now's your chance. Right now, I was going to, Todd, do you like word problems?
I love word problems.
So I was thinking about doing a word problem. You love word problems? Don't give away the answer to this one then, okay? This is the Chicago police vaccine mandate. As of today, 67% have reported vaccine status out of 7,142 police officers, okay? 67%. Mm-hmm. Of the 67%, 82% are vaccinated, which I think is a great number. But what number does that mean of the 7,142 officers are vaccinated?
It means like half are, like 4,000. Yeah.
So there you go. So I won't make that the question for our listeners.
Oh,
but
sorry.
it's about 55%, which I think is great. I hope that means that maybe all the rest of them just don't want to say they're vaccinated. We all think it's because they don't want to get vaccinated, but maybe they just don't want to say because they don't want to look bad to somebody. I don't know. I'm just saying.
That's possible.
I love that
It's a shame that it's a badge of honor to deny having a vaccine, though.
It might. Well, I think it's more of also a protest. It's also the brotherhood and things like that. But we've been talking about it for the last few days. So there's a lot to talk about. By the way, speaking of vaccination, if you are going to go to the Sexy Liberal Tour at the Barrymore Theater in Madison, Wisconsin on October 23rd, this Saturday, you must wear a mask and show proof of vaccination. And if you can't get to Madison, go to Stephanie Miller's website and purchase a ticket for the live video PPV simulcast and join in on the fun. But right now, isn't that great? I think everything should be simulcast now, like we are.
Yes,
you can watch us live. Right now, you can call 773-763-9278. Caller number 4 this time, Lady B. I'm going to go with caller number 4. You have to make 3 people either upset or make them call back right away. So that's 763-9278. 773-763-WCPT. Contests running on WCPT 820 are open to listeners 18 or older and residents of the greater Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana area. 1 entry per person, 1 winner per household, void where prohibited by law. Listeners may only win or qualify to win once every 30 days. Complete rules are available on our website at WCPT820.com by clicking the contest tab. And speaking of great performances, I have had the pleasure of watching so many of the movies that are part of the Social Change International Film Festival. Tell folks a little bit about what you want them to know about this great event.
Absolutely. This is our 10th annual film festival, and what makes this really stand out, not only are all the films documenting societal ills taking place across the world, but they're really different in that it really fosters a community. It gives people a chance to do something and build something with people they may not otherwise meet from all over the world. Have conversations, build understanding, talk about the films, but more importantly, talk about ways to do things about the issues in the films. And that's often something that we lack when we engage in these conversations and panel discussions or film festivals generally. The inspiration's there, the education, the understanding is kind of understood, and it manifests itself. But what now? What do we do now we understand the pain that people are going through? And what makes this film festival amazing is we don't just talk about what's going on, we also talk about how to do something about it with experts, with filmmakers, with folks who are directly impacted. So definitely check us out, socialchange.site. You'll be able to hear amazing moderators and speakers like Patti.
Thank you.
And this weekend is an amazing weekend. We're talking about everything from disability to geopolitics to climate change, and we need you there. So socialchange.site, and we hope to see you there in a couple days. It's Saturday and Sundays when we have the live conversations, but you can watch the films anytime, any place, just like a cool version of Netflix.
And if you are able to join us on the panel that I'm hosting on Saturday at 2 p.m., again at Social Change International Film Festival, you can comment live, and if you have a question, I might be able to ask our guests in person, because there's 3 films that I'm very excited to share with you. The filmmakers, the stars, the writers. There's 3 that I'm going to talk about specifically, but there's obviously an entire block. There's one of some of these are fictional, some of them are documentaries, nonfiction, and every single style is different. One is about this hotel in Italy where this chef came up with this idea because he had a coworker, an employee who had Down syndrome, and he thought Chef Antonio, his recipe for revolution, and he talks about how it's time for their turn at the table. I'm going to get choked up. It's their turn for their time at the table of life, and he has opened a hotel and has employees in the restaurant, and it is so beautiful. And there's another movie where there's a blind boxer, and that's a great story.
And it's actually played by someone who's actually blind, which is groundbreaking in and of itself. Ali, the blind boxer.
And he's gone on to take on other challenges and continues to box. And these are just 2 of the 3. And I mentioned Double Life a moment ago, which is a story about a woman living in Michigan. And they also talk, the great thing about that movie is it also talks about the history of the Upper Peninsula and the iron mines and how this community has changed over time. The movie in Italy talks about, the community and how they've come together. And in India, the challenges of, how we treat the disabled, how they can often be manipulated, and people are afraid to take chances. And that's what all of the movies all the filmmakers take a chance, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Bringing these to life.
Yeah, and taking these films, it takes a labor of love for sure, but there's not a big film house that funds all this stuff. So you'll see some incredibly powerful work that you may never see anywhere else. So take advantage of the opportunity to join, see some fine art, have some conversations with amazing people, and be part of the movement to make something change.
Yeah, and you can, right from the comfort of your own home, there's ways to get a pass to all the movies, or you can individually watch a film that catches your attention or intrigues you. So is there anything that you wanted to say when you came in today that you wanted to make sure you shared before we go?
Yes, absolutely. I just want to say thank you to you, Patti. I know I mentioned it earlier, but for folks who haven't had a chance to really tune in to Patti, not just now, but her entire career has been committed to telling the truth through all different mediums, and for her to be here and have an opportunity to really hear from her on a regular basis is a true jewel and a true treat. And she always uplifts the voice of the not the voiceless, but the unheard. And I think it's really important to celebrate that and give you flowers while I have a moment while I'm here. Thank you very much.
What are you trying to do to me? You make me cry. I adore you. Thank you so much for the hard work that you do in our communities. I'm out of time because I'm going to start crying. Rick Unger's up next, everybody. Todd and I are going to catch up some more off the air, but I will have Todd back as soon as his schedule allows. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lady B, and everyone here. And I know we have a winner for our tickets. Yeah, thank you. Here, let's turn the station over. We're so late. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Panera believes in saying yes. Yes to clean, fresh ingredients. Yes to the new chicken sausage and pepperoni flatbread topped with rich mozzarella. Yes to delicious mac and cheese. Yes to putting it on a sandwich, creating the grilled mac and cheese sandwich. And yes to impromptu road trips to Sandwich, Illinois. Because that's living life to the flavor fullest. Get $1 delivery when you order on our app. Panera. Live your yes. Pricing and product availability may vary. Visit PaneraBread.com.
Finding the right Medicare plan may feel impossible, but now it's anything but. With Walgreens Find RX coverage tool, you can compare plans online, over the phone, or in person, making Medicare easier than